So it was around about 3 to 4 months, I think it was, from being an approved or prospective adopter to being, with my little one, sort of being identified. It honestly felt like a lifetime. It felt so much longer.
In the end, the link came out of the blue when we were least expecting it, and it just seemed right. And what we read was fine, how it fitted with our family was fine. But you were talking probably a year after we got accepted, which is a long time looking back.
I think it was about 7 months altogether.
7 months altogether then to get to panel, and But
then from that match, when it broke down, I think it was very quick. Yeah. It was about a month and a half probably.
I think it's harder the second time because we already had an existing child, and that child has got to fit in with another child. So they're looking at 3 people rather than 2 people. And they've got to consider family dynamics and how busy we are with the one.
About 3 months after panel, before we had a match. And we still hadn't met him. Until we didn't actually meet him until
the end of January.
Near the end of January,
the following year. Seems like quite a long time. And it's one of those processes, like I say, from having panel to waiting for the initial match. You're sitting there thinking, oh, we haven't heard anything, have we done something wrong?
I had a phone call from my social worker. I can remember it as if it was yesterday. I was in work, and whenever her name flashed up on my phone, it was always that, oh, is there someone? Is it going to be this one? And quite often it'd be her checking in to see if I was all right. Oh, yeah, I'm great. I kind of want to know about a little one. And this time it was. So I remember having to sort of rush out of the office to find somewhere that I could, obviously hear a little bit more about her. So she sort of read all the information that she had about her. And I think she visited me the next morning with more information and a photo to see of her and what have you.
When the social worker came with the booklet initially, describing the child, the first words were, he's a very happy child. And for me, that was the main thing. If your child is happy, then everything else falls into place. It's and to me that was the best thing I could have heard at the time.
Because we were approved for sibling group up to the age of 3, we were matched with 6-month-old twin boy and twin girl. So we thought that was the perfect scenario because they were so young, a boy and a girl.
Yeah.
You couldn't get any better. It was like the perfect scenario. Yeah. But there was one option which I kept thinking about all the time, and I didn't know that Dave was thinking about him as well.
We were told about the match. She went through everything from her family background and
how old she
was.
Because that was a big surprise at the time, because we didn't think that we would be linked with a really young child at the time. So. No.
And she just turned 1 at the time. So we were quite surprised.
But did you scared to sort of get your hopes up? You want to ask about her and know everything, but you're a little bit scared because it's not for sure. You will have a link, but you're never 100%. But it's very exciting.
I had a dream about him one night, and then I told Dave the following day, and that's when we said, right, we need to sit down and really think about this decision because it's going to affect the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
And that's when we decided to go with the 4-year-old.
Finally, we kind of seen the light at the end of the tunnel.
It was excitement, wasn't it? It was just,
I think
but we had no photos, did we?
No.
We had nothing to go on. So it was just the excitement of the words on the paper, and...
it probably wasn't long at all. It just felt like it, when you're waiting and expecting something, it just felt like ages and ages and ages.
There was so much to take in. I think, God love her, I think the paperwork's sort of like that, if not bigger. I remember my social worker coming here and we had enough cake to sink a battleship, and tea and coffee was constantly flowing as we kind of went through and read everything. It was also really weird reading about a little one and reading about her and reading about what her parents had been through and the reasons why she was, being adopted basically. And it was a really emotional experience.
I mean, sometimes it makes for hard reading when you find out certain things. But obviously you try and look behind that and think, well, there's a little child that's come out of this and we could be the one to offer their new life.
Sort of, she was such a young child, and we wasn't expecting her to be placed with a young child. We were expecting maybe a year or two older.
But it's just a lot of information to go through, but it's quite tough to read all the paperwork, but it's definitely excitement that sort of overtakes you like all the time.
We didn't have that much, if I'm honest. We had the initial booklet read to us, but we didn't get to keep that. So everything was waiting on until we actually met the foster parent.
No pictures.
Yeah, nothing. So we met the foster carer, and thankfully she came armed with 1 million photographs and videos, and that was just amazing just to see him.
Yeah.